Carbohydrates are not bad. Hey guys, it's Dr. Eric, the fitness physician. Just a little myth busting here in a short video about carbohydrates, especially when it comes to weight loss. Carbohydrates have been maligned in the last number of years that everybody has to eat low carb or keto, and sugar's bad and carbohydrates are bad. Gotta get rid of it, right? It's been around for a long time. And hey, I'm not saying it's some of these statements are not true. Sugar, artificial sugar especially, is not so good. And yes, can you lose weight with a low carb diet? Of course you can. But my thing is that don't fear the carbohydrates. I feel actually a lot of people benefit from eating more carbs. A lot of my people that I see are just been going low carb for so long, or they're fasting so much that they're getting worn out. They're losing muscle. They're getting fatigued. Now they're starting to get some disrupted sleep, not feeling so good. So we have to put the carbs back in. Our carbs are vital fuel for our body. They've been around in our bodies forever, right? So don't fear the carbs. But it's the right carbs at the right time, as I've been preaching for a very long time. As you know, I'm all about muscle medicine and building up the metabolism, building up your body. That's why if you build your body up, the fat will take care of itself. So I want to boost your metabolism, build your muscle mass, and then the fat will burn itself off. Yes, we want to build muscle. That's number one. That's key. But also by fueling our body, fueling our mitochondria. As you know, I'm all about cellular medicine, getting those cellular pathways down to the mitochondrial level and more. And fueling the body. Again, it's like an engine. Our engines, our little cells, our mitochondria are like little engines, right? They take in fuel, they convert into energy, and they make us go without spitting out a lot of exhaust. So when there's a lot of exhaust, it means there's some toxins, there's some inefficiencies, there's something gumming up the works, right? And that could be toxins, mitochondria, there's some nutrient deficiencies, some inflammation, poor lifestyle, lack of sleep, etc., crappy diet, and lack of exercise, so many other things I've talked about before. So the trick is, again, oftentimes carbohydrates, pure glucose is actually a very pure fuel. It actually, our bodies run on it, especially our brains run exclusively on glucose. Yes, they can run on ketones, but even better on glucose. And it's a very efficient, doesn't make a lot of free radicals when it's done right in normal amounts, right? Whereas with fat, yes, a lot of people go keto and say you can make more energy. Yes, that's true, but sometimes it's a little bit inefficient. It can make some excess of free radicals, and sometimes it can cause what's called a reverse transport through the mitochondrial train. I don't want to get too geeky on biochemistry, but it's the flow of electrons through what's called the electron transport chain. Sometimes there can get some reverse transport, and that can back things up a little bit, and you can have some free radical. And it's kind of and fats are really meant to be kind of our backup system, right? So this is what happened when our ancestors were hunting out, the little cavemen hunting, right? You couldn't eat for a long time. Your body would go into backup system and feed off the fat, start making ketones. That's great, but over time that can rev up the sympathetic nervous system. Your body's gonna make cortisol and glucagon, these stimulatory hormones, which over time can cause some stress on the body and cause some inflammation, cause some problems. That's why a lot of people who do this for a long period of time start to have problems. Yeah, their numbers, their lipids, their cholesterol numbers improve. They feel better, but after a while, years of doing this, starts to go backwards, and lipids get worse, things get worse, because we're not really meant to do that. So our efficient system is to utilize healthy carbohydrates. Again, I'm not just saying just eat carbohydrates. You want a balanced health plan. That's what I help with my clients. That's what I do. You want a balanced plan, but sometimes in the beginning, sometimes somebody needs to jumpstart their program. Yes, sometimes a low carb can work for a bit, or a high carb plan may work for someone, and then you can rotate them, getting into a more balanced, healthy lifestyle and diet, and maintain that long term. That's the best way to go. But can you toggle in and rotate in and out of these strategies? Yes, as a lot of my people know, I like to rotate strategies to get things in and out. But the bottom line is to not fear the high carbohydrate diet. Sometimes this is actually better for a lot of people. Some people just, like me, I'm a great example. I don't do well on high fat diet. I can't do it. I can't tolerate digesting all those fats. I feel better on carbohydrates and higher protein. I feel better and I have more energy, and my gut tolerates it better. Carbohydrates are fuel. Again, they provide very efficiently fuel to help you fuel your performance. Athletes and bodybuilders and more have known this for years. And runners and bicyclists, they fuel their body with carbohydrates, and they perform better. They lift more. They run harder, longer, faster, right? And it fuels your brain. Our brains run on blood sugar, on glucose. Carbohydrates are very healthy for the gut, right? The starches, the fuel, all the particles in the carbohydrates, they actually feed the gut bacteria. And we all know how important the gut microbiome is. A lot of people that neglect this start to have problems. They get constipation, have other issues. So it's not really meant to run on protein or just fats. It needs carbohydrates. Again, it needs a balance. So carbohydrates are very healthy for the gut microbiome, which is, of course, is going to help you become healthy, right? The gut microbiome, as we know, is extremely important for our health and longevity and overall metabolic function and overall health and immune health, right? And again, so carbohydrates can run very cleanly, very efficiently, make a lot of energy, help you perform better, and again, help the gut. And the other thing is going to help maintain your body's metabolism, right? It has a higher thermic effect of food. Protein has the highest, then carbohydrates, then fats are last. In other words, when you eat it, a certain portion of that gets converted into heat, so you lose that, so it's a little inefficient. That's why you burn off a little more calories when you're eating more higher protein, especially, and higher carbohydrates. and you can burn off more calories. So even say you eat 100 grams of food, you're only going to take in maybe 80% of that. I'm just making up numbers here, but it's just a ballpark number. But you're going to burn a lot more fuel, so it's going to help you raise your metabolism and burn off some effects, so you can eat a little bit more efficiently and burn off some fuel as heat and lose fat, right? So, and bodybuilders have been doing this for years, right? John Perillo and Chris Aceto, a lot of these other athletes and bodybuilding champions have been around talking this for years. So they'll really promote more of a high-end, like high protein, high carbohydrate, lower fat, and then they'll burn off the fat, focus on building up that muscle, building up that metabolism, and then with that higher thermic effective food, you're gonna burn off fat. If you eat a lot, you're gonna maintain a lot. And a lot of times a higher fat diet can actually contribute to insulin resistance. A lot of people talk about sugar. Yes, of course, if you eat too much of it, it can lead to that, but fat will do that too. And that's kind of the bottom line, is that anything of too much is not good, right? So again, if you're eating in a balance, it doesn't matter. And Bill Campbell, he's a weight loss expert, colleague of mine, and so many other people have talked about this. If you're eating in a balanced state, and where you need to be, not excessive, but not in a deficit, right? Your basic maintenance level of calories or caloric intake. It doesn't really matter what you eat. You can be high carb, you can be high fat, whatever it is, you're gonna be fine. Now, if you eat too much fat or too much carbs, of course, could you gain weight? Yes, of course. And people talk about insulin, too much carbohydrates spike insulin. Yes, if you're eating the wrong thing, the processed food, the fake crap, the pure sugar, high fructose corn syrup, artificial, Mountain Dews, all this crap, of course. But if you're eating fruits, you're eating vegetables, and yes, some healthy grains and some other starchy carbohydrates at the right time, you're gonna maintain that in a proper ratio, and you're not gonna get insulin resistant if you're doing it the right way and you're exercising, you're doing all these other things. So again, it's putting all the pieces of the puzzle together. So again, if you're eating a caloric balance, it doesn't matter. You're high carb, low carb, high fat, low fat, they're all gonna be, you can lose weight on all these. So that's the bottom line with this. Can you lose weight on a high carb diet? Yes, you can. Can you lose weight on a high fat diet? Yes, you can. But what's best for you? And then can you rotate out of that and keep your body balanced? Again, if you're on a certain plan for too long, your body will adapt and some things will get weakened, and you're not gonna be able to process things. If you're eating high fat all the time, the enzymes, the processes in your body to process blood sugars start to kind of downregulate because they don't need them. So eventually when you do eat some carbs, you're gonna get thrown out of whack, right? And eventually you're gonna happen. Now, could you go forever without it? Yeah, some people, you're definitely the exception. The bottom line is, again, if you're eating the right carbs at the right time, you can lose weight on a high carb diet. So don't fear the carbohydrates, right? You gotta figure out what works for you, but it can be very healthy for you, and it can very fuel your metabolism, building up metabolism, building up metabolic rate. A lot of people are talking about the metabolic diets and all these they call it different names because that's what it is. A lot of people like Dr. Mercola have flipped their thinking. They used to be more of a high carb keto. Now they've flipped, now they're like more high carb guys like me. So that's kind of the thing. It can definitely work. So don't be afraid of the carbohydrates, but again, it's the right carbohydrates at the right time to optimize your health and body. So if you have any questions, reach out to me. I hope you enjoy this, and we'll talk to you soon.